Oh, good afternoon, good morning there, YouTube. Anyways, just picked this little guy up. It is a 70cc little baby quad. And, that's full size, that's a little miniature. Yeah. So, I mean, it's got a decent size engine for something that size, but, yeah, you look pretty stupid on it if you try to ride it. Anyways, it's in pretty good shape. I only picked this thing up for 20 bucks. I do have the seat coming, and it comes with all the keys and title and all that good stuff. It is in pretty good shape. It's just been neglected and just left to set outside and collect dust. Tires are in decent shape, they hold air. But what we're going to try to do is, more than likely, the carburetor needs to be cleaned, and other than that, it should run. It does require a battery to get it started, so I've got the original battery on the charger, but I doubt that it's actually going to take a charge. But I mean, everything's still there, and for 20 bucks we'll get this thing cleaned up, get it pressure washed, and get the carb clean, and turn around and sell it. So, alright guys, well, I'm going to do a little bit of work, and I'll be back in just a minute. Hey there, everybody out there in YouTube land. Well, I'm bringing at you, this is a 70cc little China Kids Quad. I actually picked this up a few years ago for 20 bucks, and literally, cleaned the car, checked a couple things, and I thought that was going to be it, but what ended up happening is on the stator, the wire that powers the CDI had the solder connection had come off on the stator. So, I mean, everything looked fine. So I resoldered it and put it all back together. Like I said, cleaned the car, put a new battery in it, and she fired right up, ran great. And ended up selling it to a guy that kind of became a friend of mine, and I did some work for him and stuff. And he told me, oh shoot, I think it was a month or two later. It's like, hey man, it's not running again. And so I came and I checked it out, and I went there, and she fired right up for me, and I was like, I don't know what you're talking about, man. It looks like it's running good. And now, as soon as he tried to start it, it's not running. So, anyway, the reason why I'm making this video is because that problem with the stator, I've come across that 3 different times. And I mean, this is one of them. This was the second time. I actually had a friend of mine, a neighbor guy that lived across the street, and he went out and bought 2 brand new, because I think this is like a 2006, 2007. He actually went out and bought some brand new ones. They were 2020s, little Chinese Kids Quads, and one of them had the exact same problem. They were slightly different model engines on the 2 different ones he bought, but the one that's the exact same style model engine as this one, he had the exact same problem. So I soldered it up, and he took it back out, ran for like an hour, did the same thing. So I'm like, okay, let's replace the stator. So I replaced the stator, I replaced the CDI, and I'm like, this should take care of it. Again, happened again. I was like, oh geez. So I came up with a little hack. It's really simple to do, and that's what we're going to go. I'm going to take this one apart. Well, I'm going to try to start it, see if it starts. If not, I'm going to, if it has no spark, I'm going to take that side cover off, take a look at that stator again, and we're going to do the hack on this one. And I think it's going to be, it's really simple. It's very simple. There's literally, all you need is a DC 4-pin CDI and a piece of wire, and that's it. And so we're going to kind of go over that and try to see if we can't get this thing running right for this guy, because he's a really cool guy, and I'm sure his kids would like to ride this. So I'm going to get set up, get some stuff together, and we'll go from there. All right, well, there's nothing wrong with the stator. Well, that I can physically see. I haven't tested it yet, but the more common issue, I thought I was dealing with that, and I thought it was going to be a quick thing, but a lot of times what I've seen several times is the black and red wire that comes off of here is, you know, melted off, and that would, you know, that's the power that goes to your CDI. But one of the more common problems is this mess. This is basically like a little alarm system, and you know, it has a little key fob, just like on your car, and I've had so many problems with these stupid little things. There is a workaround. This gray wire that's right here, that's basically your kill. It's basically a kill wire. It's been so long since I've done it, can't remember. You can bypass it, you know, bypass this altogether, but it's just not worth it for me to spend the time. Years ago, when I didn't have a lot of money, it was just cheaper for me to hunt it down, figure out what it was, but I do remember that it basically had to do with this gray wire that comes off of here. And if you basically undo this plug, you can take that gray wire and hook it into something else. I can't remember whatever wire it was, and it would work. But for the, I think it's $22 on Amazon, you can get a complete wiring harness for this thing that comes with a new coil, new regulated rectifier, the, you know, the new hand switch, the new key, the everything, and it doesn't you know, have this junk in it. Now granted, this is kind of nice because, you know, if your kid is out riding and they're about to run into a pole or off the side of a cliff, you can hit that little key fob thing and you can physically shut down the bike. You know, same goes with, you know, this guy here. You know, you can have a tether on it, so the kid's riding around, and as soon as you pull on that tether, it stops the bike. But the kids that are riding this are a little bit older. They've had some experience, so I'm not too worried about that. But we're going to clean the car because I know it's been sitting for a while. Wiring harness should be here tomorrow, the next day. Give me a chance to charge up the battery. And we'll kind of show you, it's super easy. I mean, we'll get rid of this wiring harness that's in here, and it's boom, boom, boom. It's really easy to connect. Now, the only difference might be the plug connector that comes off of your stator here. The plugs might be different. And you just got, because we have the old harness, you can actually cut on the other side of the plug, cut the other one, solder the wires together, and still have a plug. You just got to make the plug thing work out. But other than that, we're just, like I said, we'll show you how to put the wiring harness on here and stuff. We'll replace everything. And we'll have some extra parts left, you know, for the future we'll hold on to. But this way, there's no worrying about it. We know that we've got a good wiring system. Like I said, these stupid things, for whatever reason in here, I mean, they're super cheap. I mean, I can even hear it. There's something shaking around inside of here. The way this thing was acting before, I thought it was the stator, but it would work sometimes, not work other times, and this has a kill built into it, and there's no way to really test it if it's, you know, sending a ground or not sending a ground, and it's done. So yeah, that's where we're at right now. You know, it's pretty simple. I'm sure you guys have done it. You know, car, you got to unscrew get the slide out of there. There's 2 bolts on the back side, obviously the fuel line, the hose that goes to the filter, and boom, carburetor's off. I'll go through that, clean it up, and we'll bring you back when we start. And of course, the wiring harness, just start. You don't need the key. I don't think we're going to be able to hook up this headlight. I might find a way, because we're going to have a different switch up here. The one that I found didn't have the deal for the headlight, but it's a really crummy headlight anyway, and I don't think they're going to be running at night anyway. So I may just stick a little toggle switch in there and run some power to it, you know, so that he can still use it. We'll see. But it's really easy. I mean, just false. We don't need anything. The only thing that we need from this wiring harness is this wire coming off the stator. Just unplug it, and everything else is gone. Just get rid of it. So other than that, yeah, we'll bring you back when we start putting on the other, get the other wiring harness on there, and see if we can't breathe some life back into this thing. So, all right, guys, take it easy. All right, got that carb off of the little 110, and sometimes it's a pain in the butt that they actually these are actually like riveted on, basically, and you know, it's not that bad. I mean, they're brass. I mean, you just drill them out, and there are threads. I mean, it is a screw, but it's got no head, so you just drill out the head and you pull it out, and you can, you know, screw out the little bits that go through there, and then you can just put a regular screw in. But let's see what this guy looks like inside. Unfortunately, I've been through this carb about 3 times, because every time it screws up, I go to take a look at it, I've got to clean the carburetor because it's been sitting for too long. And I'm assuming that it shouldn't be too bad inside, I'm hoping, but yeah, I'm sure the jets are probably going to need to be cleaned. And it's not horrible. I mean, there's a little bit of junk down in there, nothing too bad. And that's all working okay. So sec. Now make sure, let's get this stupid line off of here. A few lines. Make sure that when you're doing this, that you get a properly sized screwdriver for these jets, because if not, they are just brass, and if it's really bad, they will strip out. Especially when this idle jet is sunken down inside of there. Oh gosh, most of the time when that happens, they are done. And there is a very, 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 very tiny little bit of light going through this, but it's way too small. So this is a little bit clogged up. I'm sure this main jet's fine, but we're going to clean it anyway. It's got a little bit of gunk in it. Needs to be cleaned too. So other than that, I mean, it all looks, you know, pretty good. And This actually has a brass float in it, which seems to be okay, but you know, these brass floats, especially with you guys back east, right there with the solder joints, they can leak. They are resolderable. That's kind of the nice thing. You can repair those. But we're going to take this guy apart and put her in the ultrasonic cleaner just because we've got it available to us. And now this does, I'm trying to prevent down in here where this is your mixture screw, down in here it does have a little O-ring and a little metal washer that goes over the O-ring. If those don't just fall out and you're trying to save some money without having to buy a rebuild kit, I don't recommend it, because a lot of times I'll have to buy a rebuild kit just so I can get that little O-ring that's down in there, because the only way to get it out of there is with a little pick, and by the time you get it out of there, it's so screwed up that you're not going to be able to use it anyway. So I just kind of run the gamble just to leave it in there with the the cleaning process, and you're probably going to be better off doing that than trying to get it out of there. If you have a rebuild kit for it, great, or if you have an old O-ring from another rebuild kit, also great, which I probably have kicking around somewhere around here, but trying to find that right now in this mess that I call a garage would be a little tough. So everything else seems to be look good. It's just it's just a little a little dirty and a little funky inside, and we'll put this through the ultrasonic cleaner and go from there. Got the wiring harness out of it. I did mention that the only thing that you really need to save is the wiring for the stator, but also the only other wire that you should really leave on there, which it will come with a new kit, but it's just easier to leave it on there, is the wire that goes from the starting relay to the starter. That little screw that goes on the starter can be a pain sometime to get back on. But yeah, just that one long lead that goes to the starting relay and the stator wire, and then everything else comes off of it, and everything else electrically related. So all right, well, we'll bring you back when we got some more to show you. Hey there, YouTube. Well, just finishing up the last little part of this fixing or building or whatever you want to call it for this guy, a friend of mine. But we thought that, I thought that there was going to be an issue with the stator, which is in there. But turns out that it was just the alarm system that comes on a lot of these little guys. And, it's just a cheap little, on-off type of a deal. But it was just intermittent all the time. And sometimes it worked, sometimes it wouldn't. Back and forth, back and forth. But anyway, put a new harness in it. Like I said before, it's only about $22. I got a new gas tank for it because this one was old and rotted. And that was only about $30 shipped to the house. I had to replace one of the valve stems on the tire. And she is good to go. Let's see if she'll start with no choke. And she will. Just purring away all 72 cc's of her. Well, runs and drives and stops, does everything that she's supposed to, so should be a good little ride for him. He'll finally get it back to the way it was when I originally gave it to him. So, alright guys, thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff, and I've got some bigger, better content on the way, so Stay tuned, and as always, guys, have a good day, and get out there and have some fun, and go fix a bike.